Hey everybody, hope all is well. I've got the last piece on leading groups that I lost the PowerPoint for. So I do have the actual dialogue that we used. So see if it will let me select all and make it bigger. No, but I can still zoom in for you guys. So it's just a different group. Some of you may be leading this one for your girl circle about mindfulness. So hello class, welcome to our lecture on mindfulness, motivational interviewing, and the 12-step approaches. So that's the group some of you guys also observed, which is good because you'll see these all over the place. As we look into our objectives for the week, remind you chapters for the prior week, view the lecture on YouTube actually and supplement your reading. This week you'll be able to describe how the stages of change and the change process operate in the context of group work, which really is showing that someone is ready to change. So maybe they're ready to learn mindfulness for anger management, or ready to learn how to meditate even. So, babies kept me up all night, so sorry, our power went out too. You'll also be able to differentiate between group models used in counseling and the therapeutic goals, counselor-client relationship and techniques, identify and describe different approaches to group work, including mindfulness, MI, which is motivational interviewing, and then the 12 steps. Utilize counseling theories to plan and implement group interventions. The final learning objective will be especially important as you begin working on your final group project, researching different approaches for planning and implementing your ideas. So it's still the same final group project. We just have it as a final paper you guys wrote, created a group. So look at that one. So we're getting into the last chapter, stages of change, group treatment for substance abuse, which is another big hiring area. In the Midwest, we have an opioid epidemic. So there is an infusion of $400 million to treatment centers. So they are hiring a lot. Select this chapter because it's nice to briefly introduce important things. Manual includes instructions for conducting 29 group sessions designed to help people move through the stages of change, changing substance use, and for purposes of this chapter, understanding the overall change process. So again, the stages of change often used in drug and alcohol treatment are shown to be helpful. And if somebody is interested in getting sober, quitting using, and things of that nature. So the guys who came up with it, Prochaska and DiClemente, found the stages of change and that it takes place over time. The 5 stages are pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and then maintenance. So you can search for an illustration of the stages of change. They're all over the internet. Some people are unaware of its existence. The action stage is characterized by the individual actually doing something to change. And in the final change, maintenance, the individual works to maintain the change. So those are some of the ways you see it pop up. Most people do not immediately sustain the new changes they are attempting to make and return to former behaviors after a period of change. So that's relapse. Like if you're getting sober and quit getting sober, start drinking again, that's a relapse. But sometimes people do that before they finally get sober. These experiences contribute to information that can facilitate or hinder subsequent progression through the stages of change. They can cause a return to an earlier stage of change. So you'll be teaching people in that group about this. You'll see this in, AA and Al-Anon and what we do. In addition to the 5 stages, the authors and founders Prochaska and Di Clemente identified 10 processes of change. 5 are considered experiential process, and 5 are considered behavior processes. So, as you can see, they put a lot of research into this, and that is definitely a big deal because, having something that is proven by time and research is important. So the experiential process includes consciousness raising, where your client gains knowledge about themselves and the nature of their behavior, possibly learning about the negative effects of substance use to inform their decision making. Maybe they've been arrested, maybe they've been, say, in trouble for some reason. Dramatic relief occurs when clients experience some kind of significant emotional experience related to the problem. Self-revaluation refers to the recognition of how current behavior conflicts with personal values and life goals. The client reconsiders the behavior and visualizes who they could be after making positive change. Environmental revaluation takes into consideration the effects behavior has on others and the environment. Maybe their kids now are getting taken, their house was put into foreclosure, and then they utilize resources in the community to alter and maintain changes in behavior. Each of these processes are mainly considered with internal thoughts. Stimulus control move us to discuss behavioral processes. Stimulus control is when clients avoid triggers or certain environments like bars to lessen the likelihood of engaging in the problem behavior. Counter conditioning is the substitution of healthy behaviors to replace unhealthy ones. So maybe exercise and running, or even going to church and prayer groups instead of the bar every night. Things of that nature. AA meetings even. Reinforcement is management when the clients experience rewards positive behavior, and the positive consequences make clients more likely to continue making similar changes. So maybe with the exercise, they start getting in shape, they look good, they feel good. You overall feel better, and things of that nature. So these helping relationships can address feelings of isolation or alienation. And engaging in this change process helps clients realize they have a support and they're not alone. So different processes of change occur at different points throughout the various stages of change. Some occurring in multiple stages, others occurring only during certain stages. To better understand this, let's look at the table that you can see about stages of change. So do a search on the stages of change, showing pre-contemplation and contemplation first. And that's where clients will look into different things. So tend to regard their problem behavior relatively favorably and have little motivation to change it. Maybe they had just started drinking, they're in college, everybody's doing it, they enjoy it. During these stages, then, we see that consciousness raising, dramatic relief, self-revaluation, environmental revaluation are all needed to help the client shift towards considering change. Maybe they're failing papers, failing exams, not showing up for class. Or even signing on, like the YouTube. With the pandemic, we've given easier ways to let you take attendance for class. So we'll continue to build on these ideas and look at The group process. So the early stage of the group process involves raising awareness of the problem behavior and then providing the opportunity to weigh pros and cons. So as a leader, as the social worker, you'll do that early in the group. Next, clients can begin to consider alternatives and think about how life might be different once they have altered the behavior. Again, getting better grades, passing in school, finishing your degree, and or if it is just exercise and getting in shape, just like looking and feeling better. Later, they make attempts to change the cues in their environment or find healthier alternative responses. Finally, clients commit to change and utilize support to make the change and then maintain it. Um, so, similar, we've got MI, so motivational interviewing. Many of you are familiar with it. It's an approach to working with individuals with substance abuse that focuses on the subtle shifts in a client's struggle to control their own behavior. As the name implies, the approach is centered on the issue of motivation. So, are they motivated to quit smoking, quit drinking? Factors that motivate clients to change problematic behaviors. So, MI, or motivational interviewing, builds on research by Prochaska and DiClemente. Their stages of change stuff, but is credited to Miller and Rolnick. So the method is based on many tenets of client-centered therapy from Carl Rogers and resting heavily on the assumption that humans are intrinsically motivated to move toward what is good and fulfilling. Motivational interviewing takes a collaborative, goal-oriented approach, directing clients toward what is called change talk, in which clients mention or discuss their desire, ability, or need to change the behavior. So, this approach helps clients explore their own reasons for change, and it's complex and subtle with the counseling approach. Although motivational interviewing as a whole is not an approach that can be easily applied to the group setting, the principles of the approach may help inform group work, especially when you're doing a substance abuse group. So, for example, expressing empathy is the first of four principles of motivational interviewing. So, I always talk about counseling, even in the group, empathy, challenge, empathetic response to a client, then challenge them. Like, all right, so what are you doing about it? Empathy is the first, and in the group can be quite challenging due to the wide variety of views and ideas. Ground rules can help provide members with some boundaries for what to expect in terms of respect and expression, and the group leaders must express empathy while maintaining a safe and productive environment for the members. So, developing discrepancy as a subtle technique is intended to elicit reasons for change from the client. In a group setting, the additional experiences and perspectives could potentially help members challenge one another, but this can also be counterproductive when not handled with skill and care. Again, this is a complex and subtle approach to working with substance abuse clients, and group members who challenge without appropriate empathy or skill may lead to alienation or loss of self-esteem. So if you challenge people without showing them empathy, you kind of just look like that jerk friend who doesn't listen, really. So rolling with resistance, accepting client reluctance to change as natural can be extremely difficult in the group context, as groups may have a very difficult time accepting resistant members. The final principle of motivational interviewing is supporting self-efficacy. So it really is going to be honoring the client's choice, which is hard, has a good deal of potential in the group context when the group leader manages the process skillfully by helping clients draw on past successes and failures. So you'll set goals for change and action. Consider principles of motivational interviewing in group work, and you can hopefully see that applying this approach to the group context is quite challenging and has potential pitfalls. So your counseling skills in motivational interviewing relies on um, and can help facilitate motivation to change and foster the therapeutic environment to maximize the success of treatment. So sometimes in Alcoholics Anonymous, you'll find some groups that are very hardcore, use tough love, and that works for some people. Others may need this empathy and a therapeutic environment. So these skills include asking open questions, affirming your client's position, listening reflectively, and summarizing to provide opportunity for check that nothing has been missed. Each of these skills will promote open communication and can impact a group member's motivation. So again, it's harder to do this stuff in the group overall, but not impossible. It's certainly okay. I heard someone speak recently and she captured a big piece of mindfulness as I have come to understand it when she said that most people could be considered human doings rather than human beings. Because so many of us spend our lives constantly doing rather than simply being present, mindfulness means different things to different people and can be taught through forms of meditation. I'm trying to see if I have the meditation app or mindfulness app still, and it looks like it's gone. Oh, the insight timer. Okay, so if you wanted to down something to help with mindfulness, the insight timer is a good one. So, mindfulness means different things to different people and can be taught through various forms of meditation, relying on the tenets of non judging through simple observation, patience, which relies on a deep sense of calm, and understanding that things must unfold in their own time. Beginner's mind, the idea of seeing everything as it is for the first time as a way to move away from what may just be familiarity, trusting in one's own ability and becoming more fully oneself, non striving, which requires being fully present at the moment, and letting go. And that's considered the other side of acceptance, releasing ideas, thoughts, desires, and resentments, which prevent us from living in the moment. Each of these can be quite challenging to achieve, but the qualitative challenges that have been reported by people who experience mindfulness, there's a lot of research on this. And the research shows increased calmness, clarity, more welcoming and allowing attitude, an increased acceptance of ourselves and others, decreased tension, fear, and worry, increased relaxation, and decreased stress. So many clients, especially those who struggle with substance use issues, may have trouble maintaining a here and now focus. There's even research on that if they had experienced traumas, it will be hard to be present in the here and now if their basic needs aren't met. So it does help to use a trauma informed approach first and making sure they're safe and healthy and fed because it is hard to focus. Because it might include unpleasant emotions, which tend to trigger substance use. Um, Substance use may even be an attempt to avoid unwanted emotional experiences. And mindfulness can help clients develop awareness and so does not deny the reality of client concerns, but rather provides an opportunity. So here is the app, just so you guys have it, of mindfulness. It's called the Insight Timer, and you can download it, I know for sure, in the Apple Store. So if that's a good view of it, Insight Timer. Um, I believe I already have an account because I often share this with folks that are wanting to learn beginning meditation. And they have some live ones, which is nice. So, like guided ones. Let's see if we can join one if they're sure. So they seem to be pretty deep in his Lou Redmond. And then there's also this gentleman about acceptance.
At a much higher rate. The numbers. How do we get around sympathetic and authentic, complimentary and kind and great?
So those are some of the live ones you could see. And different meditations that they have. So there's also the timer that starts with a mindfulness. And then different things. To meditate on. So some people like the Zen guitar. Some like natural sounds like the starting bell. In spirituality, they have the bell bringing you to the present moment. So when a bell rings, if you're going into service, being fully present. So those are some of the things. Different sounds of bells. And then it'll time for you and do the just being quiet for 5 minutes. So authors outline issues and challenges faced while offering guidance in mindfulness as practice as an inpatient daily community group. And there's quite a few. You can even, again, do a search and look those up if that's easier for you, if you didn't have the book. Authors provide some next steps for anyone who might be interested in gaining more exposure to the ideas of mindfulness. And have outlined 2 exercises you can try at home. The first is called Mindfulness of the Breath. It can be done in any quiet place. The second is called Eating a Raisin Mindfully. And I've seen this done with other items and food, including chocolate, done very, very slowly and intentionally. I recommend either or both to anyone who's interested in getting a better sense of the approach. So there's your mindfulness bell. Let's see here. See, oh, it does a check-in too. That's cool. So different approaches in group work and addictions, Alcoholics Anonymous, well-known worldwide fellowship, which provides regular group meetings for those who wish to recover from addiction. I see here it says addition. So I guess maybe some people are addicted to math. There are several variations, including Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, and Gamblers Anonymous, all of which are based on the same principles and guided by the same 12 steps. AA is an abstinence-based philosophy that emphasizes the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. The authors of your chapter summarize the 12 steps as promoting insight into the nature of addiction, hope and commitment, openness and honesty, humility and making amends, self-monitoring and appraisal, nurturing a relationship with a higher power, and helping others. This program is built on the principles of fellowship, pragmatism, and spirituality. Research has shown a link between attendance at AA or NA meetings and long-term abstinence, which is not to say that the program causes abstinence, but rather the two are related. One argument is that those who attend AA meetings are already highly motivated, and then choose to attend AA. Although randomized trials are not possible in this kind of situation, researchers continue to build a case for the effectiveness of the 12-step program, and many helping professionals promote attendance at AA. Unfortunately, simply advising clients to attend AA meetings often does not work. One method designed to help encourage to attend AA with an open mind is called 12-step facilitation, and attempts to overcome myths, misunderstandings, and anxieties about AA meetings, along with advice on how to get to meetings. 12-step facilitation can vary with respect to delivery, but relies on exposure to AA meetings, practical knowledge, and goal setting. Mind the Gap is an example of an existing program that consists of a single group intervention, which is added to an existing program in the inpatient setting. So you can read about that in your book. If you consider the program and the effectiveness, it's not yet been evaluated. Helping clients keep an open mind and attend AA meetings, there are some common themes that exist with 12-step facilitation. They include concentrating on the positive things AA has to offer, becoming familiar with the language and principles of the 12-step approach, and being clear that AA does not rely on religion, but rather spirituality, which includes life, meaning, and purpose. Further, keep in mind that there are many, many meetings from which to choose, so clients who have tried AA in the past may benefit from shopping around to find environment they fit into. And now there's a lot more online meetings, as we've seen for your group observation. You can do that there. Since the pandemic, some clients may need help addressing social phobias, perhaps by working the client slowly into the group through initial meetings with individual members. And finally, it is important to keep in mind that although it can be easy to spot differences and reasons that a client may feel like they don't fit into a group, it can be very helpful to instead encourage them to focus similarities that exist and recognize those things that are shared among the many members. AA is certainly not the only route to long-term recover, but is a free resource to many who benefit from the program. Especially as a social worker and in counseling, you might get 3 or 4 sessions on an IEP. You can discharge them to AA meetings. 12-step facilitation can help encourage clients to attend meetings and keep an open mind about how they can be helpful. So, summarizing everything we've done today, and then eating a raisin mindfully. Video just to finish, so you can see one last chance on eating the raisin mindfully. And looks like they have quite a few on it, but just what it can teach you about mindfulness. So
friends would walk up to me and be like, "What? That's your mug." And I would just tell them it's mud.
Hi, my name is Claire, bringing you a mindfulness exercise called the Great Raisin Experience. Being mindful is a state of being. It's a particular way of choosing to experience life in the present moment, rather than letting our mind run riot so we don't really experience what's going on around us. And experimenting with a simple raisin can help us get back to the present moment. Most of us eat raisins by grabbing a handful, throwing them in our mouths, giving them a quick munch before swallowing. The next raisin you eat is going to be quite a different experience. So pause for a moment, grab a raisin, just one, or a similar dried fruit if raisins aren't your thing. Then sit comfortably. It's time to wrap your senses around your raisin. Really look at it, see it. What do you notice? Can you see its texture? What about the bumps and lumps? Is it shiny? Have a sniff. What does it smell like? Let your fingertips really feel the shape and the texture. Allow yourself to be completely absorbed in this experience. If your mind wanders, just gently guide it back to your raisin. And in a moment, pop the raisin in your mouth, but it's not time to chew yet. Spend a little while focusing on what it feels like in your mouth, with your tongue, with your teeth. Then, when you're ready, take a bite. Have a good chew. Notice the full experience of the raisin's flavour, how that flavour builds in intensity in your mouth, how incredibly sweet it is. When you've swallowed the raisin, you'll notice the taste lingers for a while. How did this compare to your usual raisin munching experience? Chances are it was more vivid. Did you notice things you wouldn't normally notice? Did you enjoy it more? What does this simple exercise teach you about being mindful, aware in the present moment, and how that can impact your experience of eating a raisin? And I'm wondering, how could you take these learnings and apply them elsewhere in your life? If you'd like to find out more about mindfulness and meditation and how just 10 minutes a day could make a difference to your life, you might want to explore the 28-day meditation challenge. I hope you found the exercise useful, and we'd love to hear how you got on via the comments box.
All right, so try that one out. Remember, everything's open. You can still
I had
turn
a
it
small
on.
itching on my nose.
See you guys
But ever
next week.
since I started using theirs, my skin has been